Welcome back. Welcome back to the second part of our unit 7 and 9. We just did the first part of unit 7, and I think that it covers so much that can help your reading or your engagement of the next unit. So it is still an elaboration. We got to the principle of falsifiability and why it is even important at all to the scientist. Okay. Now, to be scientific, see on the screen now, I'm trying to make another point that will be useful for you. It also comes out forcefully in your unit 7. So we want you to take note of it. What is the point? That scientific statements are also called falsifiable statement or testable statement. It just means a statement that cannot be tested is not scientific. If that still sounds technical, then just tell yourself a statement that cannot be either true or false is not scientific. A statement that cannot be either true or false is not scientific. See, if it has a necessary truth, if it is always true, then it is not scientific. A scientific statement is a testable statement, it's able to be tested. How do you detect that? It can turn out to be true or false. That's why you test it. You test to establish if it is actually true or actually false. So if a statement is necessarily true because of how it was said, then it is not scientific. Okay. So testability is the same as what? Scientific. And that is also the same as falsifiable or falsifiability. These words can be used interchangeably. Just ask yourself, does it have a truth value? Does the expression have a truth value? Remember factual statement and value judgment and definitions. Okay, declaratives, unit 1. If an expression can be either true or false, then it is a scientific one. Not to take note, let's say it are not definitions that have necessary truth, like the pseudoscientific statement I introduced you to in unit 1 when we did lecture 1. You can refer to that video. It will rain or it will not rain. It's necessarily true because of how you spoke. If I say tomorrow it will rain or it will not rain, that is always true. It's one statement or its negation. One of the alternatives will always be the case. That's what is on the screen now. Okay. So if it rains tomorrow, what I said is true. If it doesn't rain tomorrow, what I said is still true. So it is a tautology. Tautologous statements just means they can never be false. They are always true because of how you're speaking. Okay. So it is not a genuine scientific statement. My friends will say a genuine scientific statement is not genuine. It is pretending to be like scientific statements, pretending to be like a statement. It can be either true or false, but it is not. It is necessarily true. It will always be true. If I say she is pregnant or she is not pregnant, I hope you can see that she is pregnant is one side of the statement or the negation of that other side. See, so she is pregnant or she is not pregnant. The statement that comes that way, which has that form, is a tautology. It's a pseudo scientific statement. Pseudo just means pretending to be something you are not. So pseudo scientific statement, pretending to be scientific, yet it is not scientific. It's a tautology or it's tautologos. So falsifiability, that is what being able to be false is a sign that the statement is what scientific, and that is valued by the scientists. Amazingly, I explained that to you why falsifiability is virtue in science. So verifiable or confirmable statements, whether that's particular or general statements alike, are what? Testable or scientific statement. Very important. I think we will finish the unit 7 shortly. So on the screen, you see some summary points that will help your understanding on what empirical content, degree of falsifiability, and predictive power. Don't let these terms sound so big and confusing. Empirical content. How much does the reference class contain? The more content it has, the more valuable it is. scientifically. You see that? So if I have a statistical generalization to say most women have done so and so and so, and if I have a universal generalization, you should say all women have done so and so. The all women says more. It has more people. It refers to more people than the one that says most women. See, so the one that says more women, that's the universal generalization, or all women is the universal generalization because of the all. It will carry more empirical content than the one which says most women, even though both of them are generalizations. I've said that so much in the first part of this unit. Okay. Universal generalizations have more empirical content, more predictive power, more value scientifically than their compatriot generalization. Which one is that? Than the statistical generalization. The only addition which I want you to take note of is that universal generalizations are rather what? Easier to falsify. They can be made false so easily than the what? Statistical hypothesis. So someone would have said that that is a negative part to being a universal. No, that is still positive. Falsifiability is a virtue in science. Then when we move to the next, good, better, best. So universals are best. And then empirical, what's the other one? And then statistical generalizations are better. And then verifiable statements are good. So in that relation, one is good, the other is better, and the other is best. So good would be what? Particular statement, verifiable statement. Better would be what? Statistical hypothesis. Then best would be what? Law-like or universal generalization. You see some examples to help you see which one is valuable than the other, scientifically speaking. On your screen, I say the more general a statement is, the more empirical content it has. The more empirical content a statement has, the higher its predictive power. You can predict more. I said that also in the previous video. The more predictive power a statement has, the easier it is to falsify. You can easily make it false. And the easier it is to falsify a statement, amazingly, the more valuable it is to the scientist. So that's the relation. And if you got that very well, then we can now connect it to the thing that I've been saying over and over again, enunciate why. Therefore, universal generalizations have more empirical content, followed by statistical generalizations, then particular statements. Pseudoscientific statements do not have empirical content or predictive power and are not falsifiable. I've given you some examples. You just create a statement or its negation. I said or, I didn't say and. When you create a statement and its negation, you create a contradiction. When you create a statement or its negation, you create a tautology. Tautologies are always true. Contradictions are always false. We want statements that can be potentially what? They are statements. We want expressions that can be what? Either true or false. Genuinely, not pseudo-scientific statements. Okay? And so your units 5.1 and 5.2 has some practice exercise. Did I say 5.1? I think it should be activity 5.1. You could check it from your textbook to see activity 5.1 in unit 7. We are discussing the unit 7. Okay, so a valuable empirical information must be falsifiable to be scientific. Okay. Falsifiability makes it scientific. We have said all that. A statement that is not falsifiable cannot be a verifiable or confirmable statement. You see, whether verifiable or confirmable, we already said that they are testable, they are falsifiable. They can be either true or false. It's just a degree of empirical content that distinguishes one from the other. Okay, so a verifiable statement is still what? Scientific. A confirmable statement is still scientific. The only difference is one is more useful to the scientist than the other. This one will have a finite reference class, particular statement. This one will have an infinite reference class. I'm referring to what I'm pointing at on the screen. Okay. So confirmable statement will have infinite reference class, verifiable statement will have what? Finite reference class. But both of them are what? Scientific, they are falsifiable, they are what? Testable, except that they are so in what? In different degrees. The one that cannot be verified or has no empirical content at all is what? The pseudo-scientific statement. It doesn't have any empirical content. Sometimes we say the same of what? Verifiable statement. But if we had all the three, then we will choose the one that is empty of empirical content will be what? The pseudo-scientific statement. A statement that is absolutely true has no empirical content. That's what we have said already, pseudo-scientific statement. Now on your screen, there are some trial questions that I pulled directly from your text. And I suppose it should be useful. I wish we could engage that directly, but you would look at it and listen to my voiceover over it. Then when we meet for our live interactive sessions, for both of our sessions in the week, we can thrash it a bit more. Compare degrees of falsifiability, empirical content, predictive power, scientific value. Compare it. Look at one, example one. The Earth's orbit around the sun is elliptical. That's one. What's the reference class? The Earth. Is that general or particular? That is particular. The Earth. Okay. Let's look at the next one too. All the planets that were discovered by Kepler before 1620 AD have elliptical orbits. Reference class or the planets. Is that general or particular? That is particular. Okay, so we have two particular states. But take one before the other. Excuse me, please. All the planets that were discovered by Kepler before 1620 AD have elliptical orbits. So the first one is particular. The second one is also particular. The third one says all planets have elliptical orbits. The third one is talking universal generalization. Okay. The third one is talking universal generalization. If it is a universal generalization, it only means it has an infinite or infinite reference class. Now I want you to tell me between 1, 2, and 3. You see what I'm saying? I want you to tell me, as though we're holding a live session, which one will have more empirical content than the other? You would see that the third one is talking about all planets. There will be more references there, all planets, than the second one, which says all the planets. See? So 3 will have more empirical content than what? 2. Easily. That's it. Okay. Now, 2 will also have more empirical content than 1, because 2, both, even though 1 and 2 are both verifiable statements because they have a finite reference class, 2 talks about the planets. Even if there are only 2 planets there, it will still be more than the Earth, which will be what? Only 1 planet. So in terms of degree of falsifiability, empirical content, predictive power, and scientific value, 3 will have all of it. 3 will have more value scientifically, will be easier to falsify, will have a higher predictive power, and what's the other one? All the labels we have put up there. 3 will have more than 2. 2 will have more than 1. And how do we determine that? We look at the reference class. You see, if I asked which of them will be easier to prove, in other words, will be easier to verify or will be easier to confirm, whatever term you want to use. I'm talking about which of them can be made true easily, then it would have been 1 because it has less empirical content. It refers to less number of things, so you can easily check it compared to 2, compared to 3. So you see that for scientific value, 3 has more. It has more empirical content, like I've already said. Predictive power can easily be made false than the second statement. And that one too has all of it than the third. Very good. So you should now have a firm grip, I think, of what it means to have empirical content, predictive power. See some exercise I did with one of my campuses that I engage. So see, I have given some 4 possible answers there. I haven't said that this is going to be what you'll be examined on. You will be examined by all the faculty, just like people do WIC. That is how your final exam is like. Okay, but this is a practice question pulled all from the textbook, and then I use that to help people try their hands on their understanding of the unit 7. Heavy smokers are prone to cancer. We all can tell that this is a universal generalization. A is a universal generalization. Look at B. Most heavy smokers are prone to cancer. That is a statistical generalization. That heavy smoker is prone to cancer. This is a verifiable statement. Okay, has a particular reference class. So it's not a generalization. You can't say you are going to confirm it. No. Then D, either that heavy smoker is prone to cancer or he is not prone to cancer. Already you can tell that this is a pseudo scientific statement. It is pretending to be falsifiable, testable, what have you. But I tell you, D is empty of empirical content. It's not saying anything that can be either true or false. So if I had asked you which of the following has the least predictive power, you would know which one to choose. Which has the most empirical content, you would know that you should be looking at the reference class A. Which is or are pseudoscientific, we already saw that. The textbook sometimes would even include verifiable statements. I saw something like that there. Excuse me. Then which is easiest to falsify? Look at the reference class. Which one has more? That one can easily be falsified. Which is or are directly testable? Which of them do we directly test? C, of course. Which would you call verifiable? Same thing. If it is directly testable, then it is verifiable. We have said that. Which is absolutely true regardless. That would be the pseudoscientific one. It can never be false. It will remain true even if the person never smokes. It is in the language. Which is tautologous and therefore empty of empirical content. The same. D. Which would you call hypothetical or confirmable? Those that are generalizations. So you see that there will be A and B there. A says heavy smokers are so and so and so. B says most heavy smokers. They are both confirmable. Then 10 says, which would you use as evidence of data or observation statement? We already learned that if you made your evidences as the premises of an inductive argument verifiable, then it will serve as a good evidential statement. On that note, you humbly and calmly ended Unit 7. I tie in Unit 9 so that you can see the continuation. It is commonplace. Unit 9 is just one type of what? Inductive reasoning that we focus on to help our analysis of what? Cause and effect reasoning. So Unit 9 touches on what is causal reasoning. It is commonplace to always be looking for the cause or causes of things. What causes COVID-19? Not just, sometimes even the causes are not just the empirical. People may want to know the sunsumu grounds for things that happen, So climate change, flooding, why is it that Accra floods all the time, destroyed relationship, every relationship the guy enters doesn't succeed. What is the problem? What is the cause? We're always looking for associated causes or supposed antecedent conditions that give rise to a certain prevailing, effect. Decline in spirituality. I mean, since I started, going out with this guy, I can't even be spiritual. Since I came to UG, I haven't had time for myself. How do you account for? We're always looking for what could be the cause for something. I need you to take note. Look at the spelling. I didn't say casual. The spelling is not casual reasoning. See, so I take note of that to help you. I said causal, so you should spell cause. Then you take off the E and add an AL. So you capture what we are doing well, not casual. Okay, so we will see causal arguments as what? Inductive. Whatever analysis we do, to establish causes, we should realize immediately that it is a matter of probability. It could never be a proof or certainty. Okay, that is just for you to connect to what we've done so far. Different connotations of the word cause. You see on your screen, you see different connotations of the word cause. Activity 1.1 and 1.2 gives you some good examples over there. Unit 9, I mean. Okay, so proximate cause. When I say the cause of something, I could mean, connotation just means the meaning. So when I say the word cause, what caused it? Sometimes I could mean what was the nearest condition that came before what the effect. Okay, that could be one meaning one would give to the word cause, proximity. So it could mean proximate condition. You should have that in mind. What is agent as cause or agental cause? That one could mean the person or entity, often with an intentionality, okay, able to have an intention. Okay. Who is the agent behind the effect? So when I say cause, I could mean agent. You know, some of us will be thinking in the system, you know. So what caused my slipping of the staircase? Perhaps when I was coming up, someone had spilled water, but the person also spilled water because the 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 woman downstairs called him. So he was so much in a hurry to go and attend to the woman who was, give me an example, who couldn't park the car and was causing traffic, for example. He said, "Oh, come and help me, come and help me." So whilst he was running, he spilled water. And whilst he spilled the water and I was coming up, I slipped. Remember, the woman is caught in the traffic because perhaps, what else can we give? You know, I want us to give a chain of antecedent causes, and then we will see which one is the proximate. What happened just before the effect of what my falling? It was water that had spilled. So that would be the proximate cause of my falling down. Proximity, the nearest effect, the nearest event prior to the effect. Okay. Then agent will be who. Now who caused some? The agent could be the University of Ghana caused something. It's an entity or a human person. Okay. That's what agental cause should mean. Then on your screen you see necessary condition. Necessary means it must be present for the effect to occur. If it is not there, the effect cannot come. A necessary condition for scoring in football, Ghana type football, you know, is the ball must enter the net. The round circumference of the ball must enter the net. Now go na mafife. That is what we need. You can dribble for all you like so that it doesn't score, or it doesn't, how do I even say it? It doesn't count as a win. If you dribbled and you knew how to do the totals, and you were heading and all that, let the ball enter the net. That is necessary to scoring. Okay, I think that will be only for my brothers. If you're a London supporter, UK, what's the name, Bo? UK supporter, sorry. So necessary conditions means a condition means it must be present for the effect to come. So when we say cause, what caused it? Sometimes we are looking for what was necessary for the effect to occur. Then we have what? Excuse me, sufficient condition. Look at the difference. Sufficient condition is that condition that if it is present, the effect will come. But if it is not there, some other condition can bring about the effect. So its present is enough, it's sufficient to bring about the effect, okay? But without it, something else can bring it about. So it is not necessary to the occurrence of the effect. Let's put some. You have so many examples in your textbook, and the proposed answers are at the back of your book, so you can always check your answers to the proposed responses over there. Okay, but think about it. You may be told that eating too much salt could lead to, I don't know if that is medically proven, but could lead to heart attack or high blood pressure. Okay, eating too much salt could have implications on your heart if you are someone with that condition. Okay, so eating salt, too much salt, could generate. Let's assume that it is true, because I'm not a medical doctor, but eating too much salt could lead to heart attack. That is sufficient. That's a sufficient condition for what? Heart attack. Because if I give you bad news, it could also lead to an attack, I think, isn't it? That is why you cannot make it necessary to a heart attack. It only becomes what? A sufficient condition. Okay. Individually necessary, jointly sufficient. Okay. Look at the name. When they are on their own, that condition, that if you pick them individually, each one of them is needed. Without it, the effect can come. And when you put them together, they become enough grounds to bring about the effect. Okay. It's a bit technical, but I hope that for your purposes, as critical thinkers, you are not the element of formal logic, where you need to know which one is the P antecedent, which carries the necessary condition, and for which reason its presence will necessarily bring. No. You should just know it for your analysis. So we will not go into all those technicalities, but think about it. Photosynthesis can take place, plants growing their own food, right? Photosynthesis. For it to take place, plants need what? Water, sunlight, and what? Carbon dioxide, right? Forgotten my science. So each one of them must be present for the plant to prepare its food. Must. It's not optional. You see, human beings necessarily need what? Water, food, oxygen. You see, so each one is necessary. All of them together is sufficient. It's enough to give the human person life. But like I said with my sufficiency earlier, you could have life and still not have life. That's why I would think of all of them together as sufficient. Individually, what necessary, need each. If they come together, they become sufficient for life. Sufficiency means another thing could also lead to life, but this one is one of them. We already explained. Probabilistic cause is what? When you think of the possible, look at the word probability, the possible reason, it is already telling you that it might not be certain. Remember, causal reasoning generally, like I said in the earlier slide, is not talking certainty. But probabilistic reasoning even worsens the matter. If the condition is only probable, probably this, then it even makes it weaker than it already is in terms of what certainty. Okay, then note, so far as we are dealing with empirical evidence, I need you to take note of that. No effect can lay claim to only one single cause. So far as we are dealing with empirical matter, you might think that it is because of the food you didn't eat or you ate that generated the ulcer. But there will always be several antecedent conditions. Maybe you didn't eat on time, but if you were not also writing an exam alongside, then you wouldn't have been so strained, okay, to faint. So you didn't eat early, but perhaps also because you were working under the hot sun, in addition to you're not eating early, and you had not taken in any water since the last night. And in fact, the day before you had taken too much alcohol, perhaps. So it's a combination of factors. That's why one event cannot claim, monopoly over the others in terms of what caused some. Now, who caused some? That's why it's always important to interrogate all matters, including the spiritual, if you believe it. If you don't, you are entitled to other options. But it isn't always that matters are just explicable. Even empirically, it couldn't be one antecedent condition. There's always a plethora of reasons. Okay, so now we can top up with something that might seem almost intuitive. to our reasoning. J.S. Mill says 4 methods of causal reasoning. I need you to take note when you go to Unit 6 that mathematical something, plenty be there, is not relevant. It was just an instance to prove deduction for you, where someone is deducing said true over there. The mathematical science student will find that interesting, but it isn't something we want generality of the class to engage. You take note of that. Also in the causal reasoning bit, you see some talk about Hume and Aristotle, some Plato over there, deliberating on the reality of causes. I think that you can just read through it, and I suppose my colleagues will bear with me, will agree with me that we don't need to be doing so much of the philosophical, reflection over there. We came to do critical thinking, let the philosophers reflect. But Hume is casting some aspersions, or if you like, I don't know how to say that, doubts about even how we establish cause, that we claim that this cause that they happened concurrently may not necessarily mean one brought about the other. So that is the debate or the contention going on there. We see it when we start looking at causal fallacies after this slide. Fallacy just means errors of reasoning. So cause and effect reasoning that we suppose are not necessarily the case. We call them fallacies. We see them there. That the fact that two things, for example, happened at the same time need not mean that one brought about the other. Okay. So J.S. Mill's 4 methods of causal reasoning. To improve our explanation of the possible causes of an effect, J.S. Mill, who is a philosopher, proposes 4 methods of causal reasoning. Take note, these methods he proposed are inductive in approach, not deductive. It means even if you obeyed all the principles he has proposed, you will only achieve a highly probable outcome, conclusion. See, not necessarily what? A certainty. So it is possible that you can play all the cards well, combine and check and analyze, and still might turn out that your finding wasn't the case after all. Okay, the trial and error that sometimes we do at our institutions, say the hospital, which I like to refer to because it deals with human life. The person might say, this allergy, keeps coming. The doctor may diagnose something and say, okay, you take this and let me see for 1 week, and let's see if you experience any adverse effect, stop taking it immediately. Why is that? Because it could turn out to be counterintuitive. It could turn out to do the opposite. So we do all that because the reasoning behind it is not a certainty. Okay, there are vaccines, not COVID, but at least I know that I was going to give birth then. A vaccine had come into the country, and I don't know if I recall right, it was a swine flu or so, and I didn't take it then, but I heard, I may be wrong, but I heard that those who took it had some effects. So before long, it was no longer, they went to improve it or something. Just to show you that the vaccine was meant to do something, but it could have something about it. Why? Because it is still a research-based product. There is never 100% to such reasoning. Okay, so one on the screen, I've simplified them so that when you get the gist of it, then you can read all the plenty stuff they put in the book for you. Method of agreement. You can diagnose the possible cause of an effect if you apply the method of agreement. That is, if in the series of tests, wherever the suspected cause is present, the effect is also present. So how do you know that this method is a method of agreement? We all go to a party. I took wache. Wache is a type of dish in Ghana. Okay, I took wache and then some vegetables. Okay, then I added what's the thing? Orange juice afterwards. Then you took fufu and aponching kakra, totally different combination. Okay, but you also took the orange juice that the people served afterwards. And then, so that happens to all of us, okay, who took, look at what is happening. I'm explaining the method of agreement that will help you diagnose possible cause of a certain effect. So we all, say 5 of us, took different dishes. But what we all took in addition, which we share in common, is what the orange juice. They served it over there. We all took a glass of juice with my TZ. You took a glass of juice with another food. Nothing of the TZ got into your bowl. Nothing of yours got into mine. Someone took a apicier, that's a yam and palava sauce. But then we all took the orange juice and we did our cheers and drank it. And then lo and behold, when we go home to our hotel after the conference lunch, mine, oh my, you hear in your room, boo, and I'll flash. Apologies if you're having lunch. I just want you to understand. Boo, then my neighbor in the other room here, boo, boo, I'll flash it. Okay? Just meaning the effect is we are all running. And not the running where we use our legs, but the running where we keep asking for more tissue, more tissue. We keep going to the receptionist. Can you replace my tissue? Can you replace my? We are all running, my dear friends. Now, by J.S. Mills's method of agreement, that's what I've simplified for you. You would see that what agrees in our antecedent condition is what? Orange juice. That is what we share in common. That's why I think my colleague, if I'm right, my colleagues will say common thread. But I don't see that in the textbook, so I don't want to use it for you. But it will refer to the same, that it is the common thread running through antecedent condition. Okay. Wherever orange juice was, the effect is also common. They are all running. Then you have reason, take note of my diagnosis, you have reason to believe that it is probable that orange juice is the antecedent cause for what? The running. You can't say that you have proven that orange juice caused it because it might not be the orange juice. It might be something else. It's always possible. There might be an underlying cause that has been overlooked. That's why one of the fallacies of causal reasoning is called overlooking a common underlying cause. There might be that. So we want to be cautious by the method itself, which is intuitive. That's how we think naturally. What have you gone to eat? You all are, if the children return from school, and even though they all ate different dishes from their different sections, this one went to JHS, this one went to your children, but one at JHS, one at primary school, one at the crèche, their lunch is different, but then they all went to get the school's juice. They want to get the juice from the juice stand at school, and they come home and they are all running. You say, what did you people eat? You want to find that which runs through, for which reason they are all having that effect. It's as simple as that. That's the method of agreement. If you got that, then I can build on it. The second one proposed by J.S. Mills is the method of difference. The method of difference is the opposite of agreement. Here, we all take the same dishes, but then I top up. So after my Abrofosem just means you want to look all, foreign and classy and choicey and what have you. So after we all collected our raw wachi, I took wachi, you took wachi, everybody took wachi. Some, some macaroni on it. Then I said, "Mbocho mam salad kakaka." That only means, could you please splash it up with some salad? I mean the cream. So I, Obapa Nancy, added some salad cream to my pack. And the gentlemen and the ladies with me said, hey, you this thing, do you trust it? They said, oh, Mala, this is watching no salad and come on. May I enjoy you. When I'm taking watching and there's no salad, I don't enjoy it. So we are 5 people, and then Obapa Nancy, I took the cream on top of my wachi, but we all had the same, take note, this is the method of difference. We all had the same dishes this time. I had only one exception, a difference, which is what? The cream. Then when we go back to our hotels, I'm looking at the effect now. Everyone sleeps quietly and listens to the music and enjoys the conference, streams freely. But Nancy is stuck in her room. She keeps visiting the reception. I need more tissue. I need more tissue. I need more tissue. It means Nancy is running. The others are not. What is different from our antecedent conditions, this time looking at the food, was what? The salad cream that I added to mine that others didn't. When we all took the same combination of meals, but I added something else. So they all slept peacefully and quietly. I couldn't. I had to keep visiting the washroom. So that becomes a difference. And so we are able to connect the different thing that I took to the different effect I'm having. That's why we call it the method of difference. So we say it is the salad cream that is the likely cause. It is not necessarily the certainty. I need to stress that. We would, if we wanted to do a try your luck, we will suspect the salad cream. It could be that it is not that. Maybe I had some bad news and I'm so sad and it has given me stomach upset. There could be 1,001 reasons why. But if we were reasoning scientifically to explain the possible cause, then we will suspect the salad cream by the method of difference. Now, if you put those two methods together, so you get a stronger analysis, then you will be doing the joint method of agreement and difference. How? You just maintain the method of difference, just that this time we'll have a collection of them. So maybe all the ladies in the team asked for salad cream. So we were 10 people, 5 guys, 5 ladies, maybe couples type. The ladies wanted to show that maybe only one lady took the salad cream and the others felt, look, if we don't take some, we'll be like she's more classy than us. So let us also take so that our guys will know that which we did so. You see? So Nancy went for the salad cream and sisters joined. But our brothers said, no, we will take some sobolo after the lunch. So they didn't take the cream. So it is still the method of difference, but a group of people took and a group didn't take. Okay, so it's stronger. It's not just one person versus some others, but this one, a collection of people agreed to take. So we agreed. Then the collection agreed not to take. And then in that instance, wherever there was cream, the people had an effect of what running. And wherever there was no cream, the people didn't run. That is what we call the joint method of agreement and difference. And it is stronger a view than just the method of agreement on its own or the method of difference on its own. So you could say that the same person who came to mount the orange juice stand at your children's school in the morning went to the other school during lunch, and there too, all those who didn't take it didn't run, but those who took it ran. So you are comparing numbers that agree compared to what numbers that disagree. That's why it's a joint method. It's a very strong way, a way of analyzing, diagnosing the possible, especially with food poisoning. You could easily do that. Then the very last one of J.S. Mills's methods of causal reasoning, causal explanation, is what concomitant variation. One of the students told me, critical thinking is nice, but the things you have to know, the words, there are too many. I said, don't worry. Now, so your surname day. You two have a long say. Look at my name. Dr. Nancy, Miles, Bafo, Chilifi. Can add the other ones. Very long, but we manage. So you do fine. The word is concomitant variation. You see, a variation that is concomitant. If it goes this way, the other one follows. If it comes down, the other one comes down. Or sometimes it's inverse. But either way, there is anytime the antecedent condition varies, the consequent condition also varies. So it's a concomitant variation, an accompanying variation, sort of. Not a big word at all. Which reasoning is that? So I went to the party. I took in some snails, if you like. I'm showing you concomitant variation. And some other dishes, snails, crabs. Normally, seafood has that effect on some people, not all. Okay. Then we come home and then I noticed that there are rashes on my skin. Some few, around my arm. I'm not sure if it is that food I ate that is causing that. So if you are using the method of concomitant variation, you have a suspicion. You want to establish a possible causal relationship. it is a suspicion that I want to establish. What do? So you take in more of that thing that you suspect. So that if you took, say, a teaspoon of the orange juice, a teaspoon teaspoon of the salad cream on the wache that day in the morning, you want to check to see if this running you are having has any connection with the salad cream. You could ask for 2 ladles of salad cream so that you see whether you have a concomitant variation in the effect. Maybe after you took in the 2 teaspoons, you used only 1 tissue at the washroom. Difference. Now, if you took in the 2 ladles and it turns out that you are using 4 tissues, then chances are that there is a causal link. So when you increase the suspected cause, the antecedent condition, then it leads to, say, a concomitant increase or decrease sometimes in the effect. Then you cannot establish a causal connection. So you see, it is a degree. That one is a matter of degrees of increase or decrease. Now I say that is if in the series of tests the suspected effect varies, the variation may increase or decrease. Okay, whenever the cause is varied, the person has so much pain when he eats pepper. Okay, if he took just a teaspoon or so of the shito prepared on the table, then he will have 1 or 2 upsets. After some antacid, he will be fine. But if it is so much like the way Nancy eats hers, plenty, and she takes the fish, not the famuku, fantini, you take the pepper, this time not a teaspoon, so much, and then it turns out that he just didn't have 1 or 2, but 3 days he's even admitted at the hospital for just the pain. Then it tells you that he or she has certain connection. The pain he's having has some connection with the pepper he took. Okay. So whenever the cause is varied and it leads to a variation in the effect, then we suspect that it caused some. How? What kind of thing is that? This one is degrees, so it is what? Concomitant variation. I put the think of how you check suspected skin or food allergies. Maybe when you took in extra snails that day, the first day you took 2 and used it to eat the fufu and the bulugudum kwai, the green, they put some small granule soup somewhere, then you took your snails. It was so nice, but when you go, you had some bumps on your right arm. And then it went off, some few hours afterwards. You want to know what would have caused that. Okay, so this time you ask for not just 2 snails, but 6 big ones. Put them inside the soup. You can enjoy. You enjoy it, and then you want to see whether it is that. And you come home and the bumps are all over your body. Now you have reason, causally, to say that I do not eat snails because I react to it. Maybe after 1 or 2 or 3 instances. That is how it is. So all I have said are now put in pictures. See the method of agreement on your screen now. I talked about people having different combinations but sharing one specific thing. I'm pointing now is cream. But look at the other dishes. They have their own combinations, different. You may have wanted to suspect the fish here, but look at the third person doesn't have fish. These 2 people share fish together, but here they don't share fish. So you can't blame the fish for the running. If it was the fish, then this one should also have it, and so should this. See the reasoning? Yeah. So you go around and see what runs through today and what is the common thread. This what agrees is the cream. Then what is happening here? They all have a common effect. Then by the method of what I've said that already, agreement, you would suspect what the cream. I tell you here to be cautious. You may confuse the correlation, the fact that they are happening together for a causal connection. There may not be any causal connection whatsoever. Look at the difference. All said already. See, here, same combination. The only difference is that one person took mango fruit, the other person's dessert was what? Still fufu. After taking wachi, the dessert was fufu. Then it turns out that see the difference in the effect. The one who took mango is running, the one who didn't take mango is not running. So we suspect by the method of difference that running was caused by the mango. I explained all of that. You see the slides in your Sakai, so you can look at them closely. Now look at the joint method of agreement and difference up there. Persons 1 to 10. All these persons took mango and they all ran, in addition to the YGC. So that this is between 1 and 10. They agree. Then persons 11 to 20 also did not take the mango and they did not run. So now you take the first set and compare it with the second set. And this is not merely the method of difference. This is a joint method of agreement and difference. I've said that also. And finally, for JS mail, you will see concomitant variation. You add mango plus. Maybe after the wachi and everything, you took 2 mangoes, squeezed it out, and oh my, you enjoyed it. And when you came, the running was up. So this time you say, give me just a half slice of it because I don't like how I felt the last time. And it turns out that you just run a small one. Then you are able to tell that it was the concomitant variation gone. Now see quickly, yeah, we are just done. In all these instances, activity 4.1 of unit 9 will give you some fallacies associated with the way we reason causally. Okay. Look at this big name. There we come again with our Latin. Bear with us, eh? Post hoc ego propter hoc. I know what you said. Don't worry, you'll be fine. It just means after this, therefore, because of this, rather than chewing and pouring the name, just understand it. It happened just before it. So you claim it caused it. It's a fallacy. There might be no causal relation at all. As soon as she entered the room, the light went off. So she caused the light off. That is post hoc ergo propter hoc. Okay? So if you interpret cause as proximate cause, you are likely going to commit this fallacy. What happened just before you're coming in? You know, what happened just before the effect? You are likely going to commit what? Post hoc ergo propter hoc. That's what I put here for you. Now, you could also confuse the cause with the effect. It is the cause that leads you to the effect. The cause brings about the effect. It's not the effect that brings about the cause. So if I have cholera, let's use that example, forgive me. I have cholera. That is when I will throw up and pee. What's the other way? You know, I'm sorry. You see, it is the cause that will lead to the effect. So if you tell me that I don't want to get cholera as a cause, I don't want to get, so I'm going to stop pooping, or what's the other one? Throwing up. I won't throw up and I'll not poop so that I don't get cholera. You are confusing the cause with the effect. If I got the cause, then it will lead to the effect. It is not my stopping the effect that will lead to the cause. I wish I had the opportunity to tell you quickly that so some of the things you are dealing with are just dealing with the effect. If you could just anticipate and look out for the cause, then the deodorant may not be so necessary. It might be just one of the things you add. The cause is the amotum. You know, the armpit must be dealt with properly so that you don't need to, but here we are treating the effect. So whatever is causing it may never cease. Get some lemon, put it in some ash, rub it all over. You will possibly deal with the antecedent factor, which is the cause, and then the effect will follow by itself. So you don't confuse the cause with effect in the way you are reasoning. Okay, I don't want to get COVID, so I'm not going to sneeze. I won't even talk. If you contract COVID, you will sneeze. It's not if you sneeze, you will contract COVID. So you shouldn't stop the cause by stopping the effect. Treat the cause and the effect will go. Then there's also the fallacy that confuses correlation for causal connection. The two things happen at the same time. So you think one brought about the other. Anytime the doc is teaching, you know, there will be a call for prayer from the mosques nearby. Anytime the doc is preaching, there will be a call for prayer nearby. Therefore, you presume that it is her lecturing that causes the call for prayer. Or you could say it is the call for prayer that leads to what? Her preaching. No, there's no causal connection. It just happens at the same time. You see, whenever the clock at BAM Library strikes, grind 12 o'clock, Doc will be saying, thank you very much. Have a good week. We are done. Every time we have a lecture with this lady, as soon as the clock at BAM Library says, grind, 12 o'clock, she stops the lecture. So I think it's the clock that stops this woman from lecturing. What kind of reasoning would that be? You are confusing the fact that anytime, see, a correlation happens all the time, not one of. Anytime this one happens, this one follows. So you presume that there is a causal connection. You are saying you could just be confusing a correlation, the fact that they happen together, to be what? A cause and effect. There might be no causal connection whatsoever. Okay. Then we have the fallacy that ignores a common underlying cause. Here, there is a cause and effect, but it is underlying, is hidden. So you may not see it. When we were diagnosing the method of agreement, I said you may also be overlooking what? A possible common, and there might be something common to the two of them. I think I have some good examples there. I just pray we are able to get there before that. Someone bought a laptop, maybe 3 people bought laptops in your room, and they did well in the critical thinking. So you say, hey, they bought laptops and they did well. So me too, I'm going to buy a laptop. Perhaps it's not just merely buying the laptop. Perhaps they were fasting as well. Perhaps they were learning every 12 midnight. It's not just the laptop. The laptop just gave them the access to what information so they can pull it down and keep it close by and move it around. But the actual work that makes the difference was that they were not sleeping. 10 p.m. when everybody's asleep, they wake up, pardon me, let me say it this way, like witches, and stay from 10 all the way to 3 a.m. for the 6 weeks because they know that there's more sleep after that. So if you also just go and buy a laptop, hoping that like your 3 friends in your room, you would also make an A, and all you did was buy it and put it down and say, oh, doc, you are good. Oh, doc, you are doing well. Rather than engaging the content, then you may be ignoring something else that was common in the antecedent condition that led to the effect you are seeing. You may be overlooking a common underlying cause. And then there is also what the genetic fallacy, the genesis of it. You see, you accept or reject a view, which is also a causal fallacy. You accept it or reject it because of who caused it, where it came from, its antecedent. Okay, you see it again when we're doing formal fallacy. These are cause and effect reasoning and fallacies associated with them. I gave you the outline. Now you see examples on this, confusing cause with effect. I noticed that people infected with COVID-19 sneeze and cough a lot. So I'm not going to cough or sneeze because I don't want to catch the COVID-19 infection. This is confusing cause with effect. If I say I do not want to cough or sneeze, my not coughing or not sneezing is not what will stop me from getting the COVID. My not coughing or sneezing will not stop me from getting the COVID. You see that? The next one is confusing correlation for causal connection. I've said that also. This semester's, since this semester, what do I put there? Since this semester's lectures began, okay. Whenever Dr. Miles is ending her lecture, the clock strikes 1 p.m. It's so true. This was happening at City Campus then. She must be powerful because she moves even the clock. I stop and then the clock also strikes, and the clock one is main campus. I think City Campus own is the call for prayer. Sometimes you can even hear it in my recording, because the time I'm closing is the time that the fine gentleman is calling Muslims to pray. So the two happens at the same time. It's not one causing the other or vice versa. Someone could confuse that correlation for what it calls a connection. Then the post hoc ego propter hoc you see on the screen. As soon as I spanked baby Ella, this is a true story. Asamoah scored the penalty for Ghana. So whenever the Black Stars need to score a penalty, I will spank my baby's bottom. Panyai! Because that time my heart was cutting. And Uncle Asamoah was going to play the penalty, and I was so worried. And this girl won't permit me. And mommy this, mommy that, mommy this. So I lost, focus for a minute. I turned and gave her a spark. Let me be. And as soon as I gave, bang, I heard, go. Accra Samoa has scored. So there comes my conclusion. If I want Ghana to score, I will spank. And as soon as I spank, a goal will come. Brothers and sisters in the Lord, that is post hoc, ego propter hoc. After this, therefore, because of this, it is a fallacy. Then the one I said about ignoring a common underlying cause, I said my roommates both have laptops and they both got A's in their UGRC 150. So if I want to get an A in this course, I should get a laptop as soon as possible. Well, get a laptop, but be sure you are not overlooking something that is common to those two ladies or guys who did well. They got a laptop, but perhaps they made use of it. You just don't get a laptop and smile at it and clean it, watch games and YouTube videos, and expect that you will get a straight A. And genetic fallacy, the theory that we are expected to memorize, is the most recent received view proposed by an American Nobel Prize physicist who worked with the greatest nuclear physicists at the best laboratories in the world during the 1960s. So what? Antiagra. So what? See the conclusion. So the theory must be true. Yeah. Who talk you? We like to connect to show our sources, but they are not enough. Not for the critical thinker. You see what I put up there? Breathe. Because I'm sure someone needs to hear that. We just ended lecture units 7 and 9. Okay. You need to take a deep breath. And thankfully, this is a recording, so you can always play it again. You won't like a lecture hall in person, where you would be able to ask any questions. I asked you any questions twice, and that is it. You won't be able to ask me to repeat. Say, Doc, can you say it again? Say it again. Say it again. No, but you can do that to my videos. You can have my video to talk to you again, and again, and again. And you should have that posture. Pleasantly engage the content. You do fine. What have we done so far? Put some things for you. Exam preparation. I say that so that you have that psyche. Okay, units for exam are 6, 7, 9, and 10, and it constitutes 50%. This hasn't changed, so it's still in my slides. You study lecture resources, that is slides, videos, question and answer sessions, all uploaded on my channel for you. You have the links to those videos. If you don't want to subscribe, you could get the links for each of them from resources on Sakai. Go to your resource tool, you see, and look at the document that says video links, for all your UGRCs. You see there. There you pick the specifics that you want and listen to them, or copy or pull them down onto your gadget and have them close by. Have a strategy for learning. I've said that to my dear friends. Have a strategy in your trotro queue. You should be listening to some Moodle's ponents, something in your ears, and then kakra and kakra, you cover all, along with the prescribed textbook. So important for the exam bit, okay? Study other groups' resources on these units for enrichment, since the whole teaching team will examine you for the final exam. I've already said that 3 times, but for the sake of certain students, I keep repeating a lot of things, especially on pedagogy, to help you. Practice exercises in the textbook, a tutorial, and among yourselves. I've told you, I give you the permission to call me Moodle's ponent until the 6 weeks is over. It will help you remember. When you get the pattern and you are struggling to remember your Dr. Miles, and you remember that she is Moodle's ponent. I wish you all the best, blissful week, and God's blessings till we engage on these. After these, you have just the 10th unit left. So there's so much to take your time and munch on. Meet me with your questions. I'm glad to help. God bless you and take care.